All right, welcome back. Doing the part two of the Kleinkrieg battles on the Hungarian frontier rule playtest demo game. I won't go and do the whole intro again, so you can watch part one where I explain more of the mechanics and stuff. This is going to focus more on the battle. I don't know if I don't remember if I showed this in the last video, but this is the page of rules I'm working from. Um, this is sort of condensed down from something that was a little more verbose that I've typed up. I've done a couple attempted drafts. But anyway, just to do a little recap, the Ottomans were coming up this road through this abandoned hamlet. That was actually kind of a common thing. And we have the Austrian and Habsburg troops that sprung an ambush, and they intercepted this column, so they're kind of disordered a little bit. So we got some elite Spanish pikemen on the road. We've got some musketeers and 2 units of garrison musketeers, and we've got some Reiter cavalry coming up the back. And we've got Ottomans have their garrison musketeers, so these 2 units. We've got some elite janissaries, some provincial cavalry, and then we've got the 2 heroes. We've got an Ottoman janissary officer, and then we have the Austrian captain. So, with that, we did a full, or I did a full first turn in part one, and so we'll pick back up with turn 2, and then we've got these 2 red dice on these 2 units because these 2 units fired, so they're not going to be able to do anything this for their rounds of combat, and the others are going to be able to be just fine. So if you fire with a firearm, you have to take that your next turn to reload, and then you're ready to go again, regardless of if you hit or not. And just my point in doing that is just because this is like a skirmish game, and I'm trying to envision like the rounds of combat are like a lot shorter periods of time than like your average war game. So maybe that comes across, maybe not. But again, like if part one, if you guys have any suggestions with the rules or, any comments, I'd be happy to hear it. Been working on this project off and on since like March or so, or most of this year. And I kind of had the idea before that, but I wanted to make this to play test it and, kind of think out loud for my purposes and get some feedback. So anyway, with that, I'll just go ahead and get right into it. So the Austrian captain and the Ottoman hero, they're stuck in combat. So our last turn, the Ottoman hero charged in to try and kill this guy. Wasn't successful, but now they're locked into a close combat. And so because they are locked in, the captain is going to get a free initiative move. I'm debating it as I say it. Maybe it should just be a +1, but I think I'll just do it this way, and then if I change it later on, then change it later on. So he's going to get a free initiative move, and then because he's stuck in, he will go ahead. So don't need to roll this time because he's going to win, and he's going to go second. Now, conceivably, you could, if you have your opponent that has a free initiative move, so your opponent you could save that if you wanted to. You could wait to do that initiative move. If I wanted to, let's say the Austrian player says, okay, going to use my free initiative move to swing back over here. Okay, well, I'm going to use my initiative move, and if I had a unit that was better positioned, maybe to move up and attack the captain as well, or something, they could do that. So, but anyway, these 2 guys are going to fight, but the Austrian captain is going to go first, and we need a 4, and he's successful, and he is going to have, let's see, 4 attacks. So let's get another dice out. Actually, we'll use the crimson dice for the Imperialists. Maybe that'll probably be a little bit better. 2, 3, and 4. And heroes are all going to be wounded on a 5. So we have 1, and I also think heroes should have more than 1. I think they'll, you know what, heroes will have 3, so just so they're not wiped early in the game. So the Ottoman hero is going to take 1 wound, but everything else is a single. You get 1. Each model is a 1 and done. So let me get a mini dice here to make a casualty counter. So he'll be 1 at 1, and then the Ottoman commander is going to go ahead and hit back, and we're hitting on a 4 again, same thing. 8, so that's a hit, and so he's going to get 4 dice as well. And the Habsburg commander takes 1 as well. So we'll put that there. So they're both at 1. And because it's a draw, they're just going to stay locked up until somebody dies. Okay, so next initiative move. The Ottomans are going to have the cavalry. They're going to do a formation change. And the pike are going to try and march up, and maybe they can hit, charge. Maybe they can push into the pikemen, or the cavalry, excuse me. So we're going to roll them. Okay, so it's a tie, so we're going to re-roll that. All right, so Ottomans are going to move, and so all they can do is do a formation change. And then these guys, let's see, they can do 5 inches. So they're just going to try and measure from the middle point. Let's just get another dice out. So they're just going to move up. So not quite in contact yet. Okay. And then, all right, next move, going to have these Ottoman musketeers are going to, what do they want to do? I think they're going to try and get up here, since they're in open order, so they can kind of move up a little bit better. So, and they've got 2 casualties, so, and then these guys are going to shift out and fire, so we'll see who gets to move. They're just going to shift out, I think, and then we'll see who gets to go first. Okay, Habsburgs, so they're going to move 5 because they're in formation. So they're just going to take up position there. And their allied unit is blocking them, so not going to be able to fire into the cavalry. All right. Just making a note of something real quick. All right. Next up, Reiter are also going to try and make some kind of move. So they're also not in formation, so they can move pretty much any direction. But I think, yeah, I think they're just gonna sweep around more and try and cover the flank there. Oh, whoops, forgot about these guys. They still get to move, so they just go 7, and they're gonna move 7, and they're gonna move 7. So, and since they're skirmishing, they can go ahead and shoot, let's see, at those musketeers there. So they have, let's see, they have 3 shooting dice, and Fortress Musketeers are going to take a wound on a 4. And let's see, what is... And everybody gets a +1 piercing with a musket, so 2. So the Musketeers take 2 casualties, so get a dice out. And so I'll just do a brief, quick digression here. So if you take, if you meet 50% casualties or more in a, you have to take a morale check. And then, but another thing you can do is to gain more victory points, is you can take captive. So, depending on what happens here, if the cavalry take 50% casualties, they could have another unit come up and try and take the defeated unit captive. Okay, so they took 2, so that's 2 out of 4, 12. 2 out of 10, so they're still in the fight. And then we will do the next initiative. So the Reiter. Oh, and before I forget, let's put a shot red dice to show that they've shot. Reiter, and then the Janissaries will move up a little bit, but they're kind of in a traffic jam, so we'll see. So they're just going to move up because, they got to move forward. So go ahead and roll initiative again. Ottomans go first. So the Janissaries, formation infantry. So they can't quite move 5, but they're just going to move to back up the cavalry and then maybe set up another move. All right. And then the Reiter are going to move 12 because they're going to just move up here, and they're not in any particular. They're in a skirmishing, open riding order, so they're just going to move like this, and try and cover that flank. One big thing I completely forgot is shooting ranges. So I think in my notes, I had it at 18, but I think what we'll do is have it at 16. I think that's a reasonable range for muskets, which matchlock muskets, not as inaccurate as people tend to think at normal sort of combat distances. There's a channel on YouTube, I believe it's from the Jamestown historical site, where they did some pretty they did a little testing with one of their reproduction muskets against a 17th century breastplate to see how accurate it was. And obviously it's not a rifle, but it's, for 100 yards, 30, 40, 50 yard distance. I mean, it's pretty accurate. That's a digression anyway. And let's see who is left. Okay, so that's turn 2. So everybody moved, and everybody that could move did move, and now we've got, so these guys are going to be able to shoot next turn. These guys are reloading, and we've got some casualties on the field. And yeah, so go ahead and do the next turn. So, and again, I apologize. I am kind of making a little bit of this up as I go along. I've got some notes, but I'm just kind of testing as I go to see what's kind of working, or what makes sense and what doesn't. And yeah, all right. So we'll do the next round. Who will go first? Let's see. Who wants to go first? All right. I think these guys are still going to keep trying to slug it out. So. All right, Ottoman turn, or excuse me, the Austrian captain is going to swing first, so let's see what he gets. Just hits, and he is going to, let's see, and then, because he's an elite, because the Ottoman captain's an elite 4, so does not wound the Ottoman captain, and Ottoman captain's going to roll as well. He's going to swing back, and he does not hit. So that's another tied combat. So they're just going to stay swinging at each other on horseback. All right. Next up, I think Austrian musketeers are going to fire into the Ottoman musketeers here. And then I think the I think the cavalry, they are going to at least attempt to charge those pikes. I don't think it's going to go over too well, but we'll see what happens. They do have lances, so I don't know. Maybe that'll make a difference. All right, gonna roll off. 3 and a 4. So they're going to go ahead and shoot first. And let's see. Fortress Musketeers are going to get 3 shooting dice. And they get a +1 to their piercing. And Sekban are wounded on a 4. Oh, whoops. I forgot to test to see if they can even do the action. So let's see. Shooting on a 5. Yep. Okay. So I'll go ahead and re-roll that then. And they get a +1 to piercing. So all 3. So we've got 3 or 4. Yeah, we've got 12. So they're going to take 3 casualties. So let me get a dice on there. I'll go ahead and use this plain white one. So they've got 3 casualties. Okay. And then the cavalry are going to go ahead and move in and get them as close as I can. Yeah, it's kind of... All right. So they're locked in. I mean, I think ideally you'd want them base to base, but that's not really possible with the way I've got them modeled. But anyway... So the Reiter are going to charge in. And let's see who... Or no, sorry, the Ottoman cavalry of Spahi. So Provincial Spahi, they're going to have 10 attacks. So get a lot more dice out. Now, one thing I did make a note of is when the Tercio attacks, just to represent their better capability against cavalry, they're going to get a +2 piercing. So, get one more dice. All right. And let's go ahead and test. And they're going to only test on a D6 because they're just provincial. They're not elite. 6, so they do it. So normally, you need a 4. And we're wounding the Spanish pikemen on a 5 because they're from an elite. They're an elite Spanish garrison brought in to the frontier for their deployment. And let's see what happens. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so quite a few hits. So they're able to get some hits on the Tercio. So they've lost 6 and 8 out of, that's 4, 8, 12. So they've lost 8 total. So they are definitely, so we'll pull models off now. So they've definitely taken serious casualties. And let's see. Just checking what I said for leadership. So okay, so what I did was you roll against with your for morale. It's not based on the individual unit. It's based on your hero. So both heroes for this are just going to have 4s. So they roll. So the hero is the one that is trying to keep them together. So oh no, it is with the dice. Okay, so hero is 4. 4, so they are just going to stand and fight. And then okay, so they're going to stand and fight. Now, with the capturing thing I mentioned earlier, if these guys hadn't have shot, they could move in and try and take these guys captive as ransom slaves if they wanted to. But since they shot, they're still focusing on reloading, so they can't try and grab these guys. So that was that engagement. All right, and then let's see, the Spanish, who's going to go next? I think the Spanish pikemen are going to try, since they're able to stand and fight, I think they're going to try and hit back. So and then the Ottomans, what are they going to do? I think these musketeers are going to try and move and then shoot at these guys. So we'll see what happens. All right, so Ottomans are going first. So the Fortress Musketeers are going to move 7, since they're skirmishers. And they're going to shoot their, let's see, they're going to do their test. All right, test to see if they are successful at shooting. Yes, they are, and they've got, let's see, how many shooting dice? They have 3, yes, 3 shooting dice. So they only get, yep, only 1, they only take 1 casualty over here. All right, and then, all right, the Spanish cavalry, so this is something I'm going to have to make a note of. think what I'll do for the attacks, because it's not really based on per model count. With these rules, I didn't want the model counts to have to be like exact. So 50% or less casualties, you're gonna roll half your attacks, or you're shooting the half your attacks. So I'll just make a note of that. Now, the one thing these Spanish pikemen do have is they have a +2 piercing on the cavalry. So let's see what they test, if they're able to do it. I really hope they are. Let's see. 4, yep, 6, okay. So they test successfully. And normally they're going to have 10 attacks, but they'll just have 5. But on that, with that piercing bonus. So we've got, and the cavalry, they're 5s because they're mounted. So, wow, not rolling too hot. Okay, even with that bonus. So they got 1 on the cavalry. And do I have another dice? One moment. Okay, I will just get one of these other polyhedral dice out. Hang on. Okay, I've got another one of these polyhedrals out. So they took just 1, so they're reduced by 1. Okay. All right, so they're down to 5 men. And then who is next? Okay, these guys. These guys fired, so they need a firing. They need a little put a red, so they're out of commission. And then I think they will go ahead and return fire. Oh no, I think they fired too, so they will go ahead and return fire. And then the Janissaries will also make a move, so okay, so these guys will, Riders will move and Janissaries will move. Okay, Janissaries are first, so they're just going to wheel and move this way. And then the Rider are going to go 12.